Hello, my name is Paul McLendon and I am the Livingston Junior High tennis coach. Tennis season is coming up and I'm assuming if you are watching this video right now that you are a 7th or 8th grade student and you are interested in perhaps trying to be on the tennis team. So I've made this video to give you some information about my expectations as far as the type of player I'm looking for, and also to give you an idea what it would be like if you were on the team, what to expect. Our season lasts for March and April, and so it's just a 2-month season here. We basically will start when track is over. We should not have a conflict. Some people say, well, I'm in track, I don't think I can do tennis. Normally track practice is over with by about 4:15, and the earliest practice we have is at 4:15. We also have later practices as well, so you could easily do both. And on days when you have track meets, you just won't come to tennis practice. So there should be no conflict between tennis and track anyway here at the junior high. Another reason I'm doing this video is just trying to give you an idea if this would be something that you would be interested in. Let me just tell you a few things that if this is true for you, then you could cut the video off because this is not something that you're going to be able to do. If you are failing any classes, you failed any classes this year or you're failing now, then I'm not interested in getting your application for the tennis team. What will happen is that I'm going to have probably about 40 or 50 people apply for the team, and as far as new players, and I will have to select anywhere from 16 to 24 out of that list. So I will have to go through your applications and select. We do not have tryouts. And you might say, well, why don't we have tryouts? Well, the players that we have basically know nothing about tennis. Kind of hard to try out for a sport that you don't know anything about or can't do anything on the tennis court. So I, in a sense, use paper tryouts. I will interview teachers and discuss names, and we will come up with a list. And so if you are failing classes, then I can't depend on you as a tennis player. So if I want to have you play in a match and you're failing and not eligible, I don't even want to have you out on the courts because I don't want to waste your time or my time. So if you're failing, don't apply. You can cut the video off right here. If you're a behavior problem in class, I'm not interested in you either. If you're an ISS getting tags, whenever I talk to your teachers and I say your name, are they going to go, oh, you don't want him on the team because he's disruptive. You don't want him out there. It's hard enough at practice trying to teach you what I'm doing, but if I got somebody that is disrupting everybody else, that's not going to work. Also, if you cannot get a ride over to the tennis courts in the evenings, then you probably are not going to be able to play. We do not have tennis courts here at the junior high, so that means we are not going to be practicing tennis during athletics. We don't have tennis athletics at the junior high because we have no courts. So that means we have to use the high school courts when the high school team is finished. And so it is an evening practice schedule. So if you live way far away and cannot get a ride back, then you will not be able to play on the team. Some people might think, well, I have never had tennis lessons, so I shouldn't be able to be on the tennis team. I'm not really concerned if you've not had lessons before, because as long as you're willing to learn and you're teachable. Now, if you're one of these people and I'm trying to get you to hit the ball a certain way and you just think, oh, my way's better, I'm going to hit it any way I want to, then I don't want you on the team. You got to be willing to learn to be able to be on the team. And by the way, I have kicked kids off the team in the past, mainly for behavior. They couldn't act right when we were out at practice, or they got in trouble in school in their classes. So I ended up having to release them from the team. And if that's, hopefully I'll do a good enough job of going through the applications where that shouldn't happen. But if it does and it happens, well, that's just the way it is. Let me mention one thing about the high school program. One of the reasons that we have this junior high team is to try to introduce you to the game of tennis. It really takes a couple of years to learn to be able to play well. And so I only have you for 2 months. So I can only teach you so much. You're not going to end up being a great tennis player after, our tennis season. What I'm hoping is that you will get some interest in it, you'll learn some strokes, and then hopefully if you're a 7th grader, you'll play again in 8th grade. If you're an 8th grader, you'll want to play again once you get to the high school. we are trying to feed players into the high school program that have some skills. And I am not a throw out the ball, coach. I know some of the teams we play, they have practices and they have all their players on the courts at one time for an hour and a half. And they've got, 40 kids running around the courts acting crazy and not learning anything. You can't learn tennis that way correctly. I normally work with small groups. I work with, maybe 6 to 8 players at a time. Other players are rotating off and being helped by some of the high school team players. And we deal in small numbers, so I can't have a whole lot of people out here at one time, but I'm trying to teach you some skills so that you can have something that you can use later, either in high school or maybe be able to just go out for the rest of your life and play tennis. One thing about tennis is it is a lifetime sport. Most of the athletics that you have in high school, you will probably play your last game your senior year, and that'll be the last time you play that sport. But tennis is not that way. You can play it for the rest of your life and be active doing that for the rest of your life. So that's why we encourage people to get into tennis. Our high school program is a year-round program. It's not just a 2-month program. It goes from August through May. Our high school program runs all year, and in high school you can be in a high school tennis class, and you will practice during the day on the courts at the high school. You will also practice after school if needed for the varsity and the JV teams. And so the high school program is something that you can do if you're interested in doing that later. It's a very good program. Okay, let me talk about some things. After you listen to this video and you think, hey, this is something that I would like to do. So you should then go home, let your parents see this video as well. And I've had this happen before. Some kid signs up and does all this, and then finally tells his parents, hey, I got selected to the tennis team. His parents tell you, I can't take you up there. I can't give you a ride up there. So you need to have them watch this video as well so they know what's going on, so y'all can decide together if this is something that you would be possibly interested in. All right, let me talk about some stuff that I have up here. If you are going to apply for the tennis team, what you're going to do is that you're going to fill out an application. And this application will be in the front office, or it'll be in my room in C121 at the junior high, or it'll be in the junior high front office. There'll be some forms here, and it has some information that you're going to fill out with some yes/no questions. On the back of it is some information, very much like the information I'm giving you now, but a little more specific here, and that will give you an idea of what's going on. And your applications are due on Friday, February 16th. So by the end of the day on Friday, February 16th, if you're interested in being on the team, you need to fill that out. By the way, the players that played last year as 7th graders, if you were with the team at the end of the year, then that means that you are automatically on the team this year. So you won't have to be considered as far as tryouts or go through the application process. But I do need you to fill out the application, so I have an updated version of that. And then you will actually just come to our team meeting then right here on February 27th. But you don't have to go through the selection process. If you were still playing and practicing with the team at the end of last season as a 7th grader, then you're good for this year. Okay, once you fill out your applications on February 16th, then I will go through those applications. I'll talk with your teachers, and I will make my team selections by Tuesday, February 20th. And then at that point on Wednesday and Thursday, I will contact you to let you know if you made the team or not. And then that next Tuesday after that, on the 27th, we will have a mandatory meeting. It will be at 6 p.m. in the junior high cafeteria. And you will need to be there as a player and with at least a parent with you, if possible, because I'm going to discuss what we're going to be doing. I'll be answering questions to give you a better idea of what's going on. And then practices will start in March. Our season basically goes from March 5th to about May 4th. It's about a 2-month period there. And we will make exceptions for things like star tests and things like that. We won't practice the day before star tests or have matches or anything like that. For school. We will work around all school events. Okay, now expectations for you. I mentioned I need you passing, good behavior, Tennis lessons, I've mentioned that before. By the way, on your application, if you've had some lessons before, if you've taken lessons from me, I will know it. But if you might have taken lessons from Coach Bro, who gives private lessons here in town, you also may have had gone to the summer camp that Coach McFarland over at the high school does every summer. And if you've done that on your application, tell me that, because I know that I'm not working with a raw beginner. I know I've got somebody that knows something to start with. So put that on your application. But again, if you don't know anything, that's not a problem. Now you might also say, well, I'm not very athletic. I can't throw a ball and walk without tripping. You can still learn tennis. It will just take longer, all right? Because I've had a number of players that I've had that, were not very athletic to start, and it just means it'll be a little bit longer for you to pick it up, and just expect that. Okay, transportation to high school courts, you're going to have to be able to do that. Practices and matches. Let me just talk about practices right now. I will bring a certain number of players in at hour intervals. We are now going to start this year at 4:15. The high school team will still be practicing at that time, but they're going to give us 2 courts for me to work with some beginners on 2 courts with about 8 or 10 players to start off at a 4:15 practice time. You'll notice on your application here that there'll be question number 5 says, I cannot practice, and it says circle days and times that you cannot usually practice. And I've got Monday, I've got a 4:15, 5:15, 6:15, 7:15. And by the way, I'm hoping I don't have to use the 7:15 times, because that's going to put me out on the courts for about 5 hours after my teaching day. So I'm hoping I can end with my, about 7:30. So, but if needed, go ahead and circle the 7:15s if that's something you cannot do. Anything that you cannot do on these particular days. Let's say, by the way, I am including a Wednesday practice day this year. We normally practice on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays, but I'm going to have so many players, I don't see how I can do it in just those days. I don't like using Wednesdays, especially because of church. But and if that's the case with you and you've got church, and you're going to circle that you can't do Wednesdays, and then I'll try not to put you on a Wednesday practice time. If I have too many players, I may have to go on a 2-day schedule like Monday, Wednesday with my beginners, or Tuesday, Thursday. And I haven't figured out the schedule exactly yet, because I don't know how many people I'm going to have on the team. So, but do fill that out and just circle the times that you cannot practice on those days. All right, our practices will be for about an hour and 15 minutes. You will have to get a ride over to the tennis courts. Once you get there, we'll practice on the courts for about an hour, and then at the end, you'll have about a 15-minute conditioning time. And by the way, if you don't want to do some running and conditioning, you think, ooh, I don't want to do that, I'm too lazy, please don't sign up for the tennis team, all right? Because we do conditioning, and that's one of the things that I expect you to do at the end of practice. We will practice then, and then I'll have another group come in at the next hour. We'll practice and rotate around, and we'll do that until we're finished that night, and then we'll have practices the other days. Now, as far as matches, my matches right now are tentatively set up for Thursdays in April. And it is a little hard to get matches because our district, junior high district, does not have tennis. So I have to find other independent teams that also are not in a tennis district and try to schedule matches with them. So it's very difficult finding matches. Again, I'm not real concerned about winning and losing these matches. This just gives us an opportunity to play someone we're not used to playing and get the playing experience. So I'm not concerned about winning every match or anything like that. We normally do fairly well with the teams that we play, but we don't have country club players, and that makes us a little bit of a disadvantage where we live here. But because some teams will have kids that have had lessons for 5-6 years, well, obviously their skill level is going to be greater and their playing level is going to be greater. Matches, if you should make the traveling squad, and my traveling squad is about 10 boys and 10 girls. And so out of about 40-something players, I will select 10 boys and 10 girls that will be my playing squad. It will mainly be returning players. However, sometimes I have players that come in that pick it up real quickly as first-year players, and then I put them on the playing squad because they have just progressed that quickly. And that could happen. Okay, as far as physicals, UIL paperwork, you are going to be required to have a physical before you can practice. Now, if you've been in athletics this year already in junior high, you have a current physical and you have current UIL paperwork. If you've not done any athletics this year, and you have not gotten a physical this year, you will need to do that before you can practice. So if you're a returning player and you know you're already on the team, then you need to get set up to get your physical and check with me about getting your UIL paperwork in, so that way you're ready for sure by the first practice date and you don't have to miss practices waiting to get that done. Now, if you have not had your physical done, then I would not run out and get it done right now until you see if you're selected for the team, because there's no use having one done and then you're not selected. And so whenever we get the team selected and I'll let you know you're on the team, I should know by then. I have paperwork that shows me if you have a physical or not, and then you will need to get that done before our first practice. Okay, as far as equipment, you do not need to worry about getting any equipment, especially my first year players. A lot of my first year players, they don't have anything. Do I need to go buy a racket? No, don't go buy a racket, because if you have a racket, it's okay, and I'll look at it the first day of practice and see, hey, is this going to work or not? And as a beginner, it really won't make a whole lot of difference. Once you get better, rackets do make a difference, and I can tell you what rackets to get. I can advise you. I have players all the time that'll go to Academy, and they'll call me from Academy, and they'll say, I'm here with my child, we're trying to figure out a racket, and I'll say, okay, tell me what they've got there, and they'll tell me, and I'll tell them which racket to pick are the ones they've got to help them out doing that. But you do not need that. And it does not cost any money. Some people ask that. This is part of a school program. This is not private lessons. This is a junior high team. Okay, I believe that's most everything that I want to say to just try to inform you about what's going on. So at this point, you just need to, if you're interested, fill out the application, turn it into the front office or turn it into me in C121, and then you'll wait on me to make selections, and then we'll go from there. Make sure your parents have watched this video also if you are interested as a new player, to see if that's something your parents agree with you with if that's what you want to do. And I'm also assuming that if you have gotten to where this video is, there will also be certain things on there. Probably this application is also printed there if you hadn't gotten one from the school, that you can probably download one there from off the website. And also an information flyer should also be available there. A calendar, once I get it finalized, will also be on that webpage. All right, thank you. If you have any questions, just come by my room and ask me. Thank you very much.